Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Distance Dilemma podcast. My name is Shaun, and I am in Dublin, Ireland. And this is Imran. He is in Thun, Switzerland, and this is our long distance friendship podcast. This is episode number 57, and we're going to kick things off like we do every single week. We're out of context weekly scenarios. This is the section of the show where me and Imran give each other parts of our week out of context, and the other person has to try and guess what's going on through a series of yes or no questions. So, Imran, what is your out of context weekly scenario?
My out of context weekly scenario is I seen something unusual in a cafe window.
Okay, so you were out and you were in a cafe.
No.
Were you walking by a cafe?
Yeah.
Was it an animal?
Yeah.
Was the animal alive?
Yeah.
Was it like a rat or a mouse?
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be another Ratatouille reference, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. No. It's not a Ratatouille reference, but you got the premise of it. Yeah.
So you saw a rat in a cafe window running across.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised you got it that quickly. I thought
Yeah,
you were
that's
going to
actually
struggle.
probably the quickest I've ever got any of them.
I think it was because like I kind of said I tried to phrase it this week the way you kind of phrase it, where it's kind of like just black and white, and then see if the person can just pick up on it.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I was walking. I'll send you the video after the podcast. But I was on the phone to Nicola after finishing work, and we were just chatting away and stuff like that. And then I walked past this cafe, and I kind of like looked to my left, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And then because it was a chocolate, it was like a lot of chocolate in the front window because they were obviously trying to sell maybe coming up after Easter and stuff like that. So maybe they're trying to get rid of it or whatever. Um, and I just saw something moving, and I was like, "What's that?" And then I like stopped, and there was like a giant rat. Like, man, this thing was like the Hulk, the size of him. He was there in the front window, and he was just like scratching himself, and I was like, I thought it was like a. At first, I thought it was like a robotic like animal or something like that, like a toy or something like. But then I was like, why is that in the front window of a cafe? So I kind of like turned my camera on and I was like, Nicola, look at this, and she was like, no way, the size of it. And it was funny because I sent the video in to like my work group chat, being like, just in case you're ever like walking by, maybe don't go into this cafe. And everyone was like, Jesus Christ, Ratatouille's new restaurants after opening up.
Was it on
So
the
yeah.
inside of the cafe? Like, was it behind the window at the
Yeah, so it
chocolate?
was on. Yeah, it was on. No, so it was on the inside, yeah, of the cafe, and it was like right on the front. I would say like windowsill, right where all the chocolate was, and I was thinking, oh my God, like if anyone buys that chocolate tomorrow, there should have been a rat there all around. They're probably eating it
Mm.
and stuff. And one half of me, I was like, oh, maybe I should go in before work tomorrow and just show it to the manager and say, look here, you had a rat in your front window. But then again, as I was walking past, there was like a lot of people behind me that were going up and taking videos and like, because people were looking at me weird because I was talking to Nicola on the phone, a big Dublin accent in the middle of Switzerland, recording this big rat. So then I was thinking, I was saying to Nicola, if I posted this on TikTok now, I'll go famous for like one night and even, but there was other people behind me that stopped and then started recording as well. So I was like, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm just gonna walk to the bus stop.
Fair enough. Yeah,
So
I'm
there
sure
you go.
the word is out there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the word is out there now. Or like, if not, I feel bad for anyone that bought that chocolate.
Yeah.
It's funny because we literally like with last week that all we were talking about was the whole situation you had with your rat, and then
Yeah.
I was like, "There's no way." Like I was even saying to Nicola, I was like saying on the podcast that we were talking about Ratatouille and that you had a rat incident. I was like, "This is just so coincidental."
Yeah. They're taking over. It's the week of the rat, or the year of the rat, or whatever. I think it's the year of the horse for the Chinese, but it's year of the rat, and year of the rat for the Irish.
What year is it for the Chinese New Year?
I think it's the year of the horse, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what any of those things mean, though, as well.
Either do I. Yeah, it's the year of the horse. In brackets, particularly fire horse, whatever that means. So what's your out of context weekly scenario? Hopefully nothing to do with a rat.
No, no. My out of context weekly scenario was a miscommunication in the bedroom.
Miscommunication in the bedroom. Why does he always leave me on the world of like me trying not to make it sexual? Unless he is like saying his sexual love life on the podcast, then welcome to
No,
our new
no.
show.
Just
Welcome to
pulled
our
the
new
ultimate
show.
double bluff and just
Wouldn't that
ended
be
it sexually.
hilarious if we like completely turned our show around and made it like completely like a talking podcast? That would be
Oh
like
man,
that would be the
I
widest pull ever.
especially for us because I don't think me and you have ever really talked
No.
about sex that much. Like
I,
it just
I say that to Nicola that like lads don't necessarily like like I was saying, like my mates, like we very rarely actually sit down and like start talking about sex or like our love life. Like, well, yeah, like later, and like I know we're all like most of us like are in relationships, but it's kind of like the thing is like even with the lads, like 90% of the time we're talking about like anime, football, laughing about stupid
Yeah.
shit, reminiscing. Like that's what just lads do.
I,
Like or
but you
talking
know
about
what?
like
Like on the opposite end, I would say I've talked about sex more with like my friends who are girls.
maybe I
No,
don't
no, I'm
know.
not saying this is like a current thing, but I would say like more than than my guy friends, and this is like also before I was in a relationship as well. Like
Yeah,
it just can't, like, not in the sense of like, do you want to do it, not like that, like, but just like it has come up in conversation before and after, like, I've been with Simone, like, just with my friends. I don't want to say girlfriends because Simone is obviously my partner. Simone's my girlfriend, but like it's come up with in conversation with my friends who are girls more than it has with lads. Like,
that's funny. Okay, back to the
yeah,
context. So you said it was miscommunication in the bedroom.
yes,
Okay, does this have anything for you asking for something or Simone asking for something and that they brought something completely different?
not really.
Okay. Does this have anything to do with Xena?
No,
No. Were you in bed at the time?
yes,
Yes. And was it nighttime?
yes.
Yes. I'm setting the mood here. I feel like I'm set like a
We
spiritual
lock
ex
them
yeah,
doors and
yeah,
turn them
yeah.
lights
Yeah.
down
Yeah,
low.
it's pretty much like something like that. Okay, you said no one said asked that you asked you for something. So, um, did you think you were going to get lucky and then she was really just falling asleep?
No,
Okay, were you watching something?
yes,
Okay, so you were both in bed watching something. That's the context of where we're at right now. Did you say you wanted to watch a particular movie and then you stuck with the completely wrong movie on you? So like, what the hell is this?
no,
Does it have something to do with what you're watching?
yes,
Yes. Okay. So you guys watch like quiz shows a lot. So has anything to do with a quiz show?
no,
No. So was it TV or was it like? Or sorry, say only yes or no. So was a film like a film or
no,
no? So was it a TV show?
no,
No. Was it like an advertisement that was on the TV?
no,
Um. So it wasn't a film. Was it Chelsea? Was Chelsea playing?
no.
No. So no football, no TV show, not a film. Was it like an advert? I said already it wasn't an advertisement. Something on the TV. Oh,
Well,
were you like flicking to watch something and then like you accidentally like left the show on like one of them um like where like them call me in sex shows or something like that?
no, no. Yeah, I just want to say that I never said that. I said we were watching something, but I never said it was on the television.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh shit, just knocked over my whole microphone. Um let me see. What were you watching? What I'm trying to think. What was there like flies on the wall or something that were getting busy and are you were just watching, laughing, or
No.
I don't know. You'd be
That would make
surprised.
us pretty fucking creep. That would be pretty creepy. Like, yeah, just gonna watch these flies have sex.
I don't know. I don't know. Whatever gets you going. Like, um, what were you watching in the bedroom? You see, Rosina wasn't involved at all.
No.
No. Was it in the bedroom, whatever was happening, or was it
Yeah.
outside of the house?
Yeah. Bedroom.
We was watching the paint dry.
No.
What were you watching? Like, what is so entertaining in the bedroom?
How have you not gotten this from, like, not like the whole thing, but like, how have you not? Well, it's not television, so what else could we be watching in the room, while we're in
Was
bed?
it like something to do with like TikTok or your phone or
Yes.
something? Okay, okay, jeez. So you were watching something on TikTok and it was miscommunication. So was one of you watching something and the other person was watching the phone beside them?
No, we're about watching. We're about
So
watching
you're
TV.
both on your phones in bed watching TikTok.
Yes,
Okay.
we're just watching it. So we're about watching my phone.
So you're confused me because I said okay. So
We're about looking at my phone screen. Simone's phone is not in the equation. We're about looking at my phone screen.
okay, and it was something that was on your phone that was like just like what the hell are you watching kind of thing.
Sort of, yeah.
What else do I need to get here? Like,
You just
uh,
you need like I'll give it to you if you can like kind of whittle down like what the kind of action that or like the topic that kind of led to a miscommunication.
if this is something niche, man, I'm gonna be pissed
It
because
is.
it took
It's
me
not.
ages.
But like like think of something that you could do in bed that would be like not ideal.
Not ideal. Were you watching like because you're on a food? Like, was it something to do with food?
No.
Because you shouldn't really eat in the bedroom. Dude, like I thought, like why am I so black and white and easy, and this guy's making me go down a rabbit hole. Okay, so I'm trying to think of your algorithm on TikTok. What would it be? Has that anything to do with like any of the shows you're watching or Daredevil or anything
No.
like that?
No.
So it's something like a very niche topic that's like something that not many people
I
would
wouldn't go
watch.
as far as to call it a niche topic. It's something that occurs daily for most people. It's not that niche. I
So
imagine
it's
I
so
imagine you
beyond.
have done the same thing in bed at some point. I'd actually put money on. I would say you've done this in bed,
Okay, okay. How
and it's
does he
not
know?
sexual.
Okay, it's not sexual. Did you just let it? Were you watching like I don't know? Did you just let it out let out an absolute rip of a fart or something?
Yes.
Okay. So what does that have to do with the video you're
Okay. Look,
watching?
I've worked you long and
Oh,
hard enough, right?
dude,
So I'll let you have that.
my brain
So
is so sore.
so
Okay, go.
what happened was, so me and Simone were in bed. We were spooning and we were watching TikToks like we do most nights. Once we finish watching TV, we'll like
Yeah,
spoon and watch TikToks like 15, 20 minutes, and then we both go to sleep. And we're
yeah,
watching TikToks, and a video comes up on my feed, and I think it's like a radio show, and they're talking about it's farts in some form. Like they were like, they weren't like discussing the anatomy of a fart, like but they were making fart jokes, and they were talking about fart jokes.
okay.
And Simone just kept like kneeing me in my bum. Like she just kind of like kept like her knees were just aligned with my ass, and she just kept tapping it, and I was kind of a bit confused. And this is going on for about 10 seconds, where she like would tap my ass twice with her knee, stop for like 3 seconds, and then go again. And then I kind of got confused, and I was kind of thinking to myself, does she want me to like fart? So I did. And she was like, "Ew, what the fuck?" I was like, "I thought you wanted me to fart," and it just turned to this whole thing of like, I thought she wanted me to fart because of the video that we were watching.
Did you find out why she was stopping you with her knee?
her leg was having a bit of a spasm. So she
Okay.
was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
No, I
I
mean,
know that was a hard one. It was like it's not been that long since we recorded the last episode, so I was really picking at straws.
yeah, dude, like I went from like the whole idea of you like watching fucking TV and then going from there to bugs and then I don't even know how I didn't get to the phone thing, but
But
that's
the
not
thing
what I
is,
expected it to
you
be.
know, I find funny about this every week. Every week we do this, and like you'll like get two things. Like you'll be like, okay, we found the room, or we found like one or two bits of information, and then you just take a stab in the dark. Like you just say shit.
That's
Whereas
why
like
me and you are very different.
Simone does say it like it's like I like do the whole like guess who thing where I'm like, does he have glasses? Is it a boy or a girl? Like, is their hair black? Is like like I'll like work it down like that and like try and get to that type of solution. Whereas like you're just like, is his name David? Like you just kind of like go for a shot in the dark, like
I feel like this week I was very hard well done by
It
though. I
wasn't.
feel like
Yeah, no, it wasn't an easy one this week. 100%. I'll give you that. It
yeah,
wasn't.
yeah.
It definitely wasn't the easiest one. But yeah.
I do feel like sometimes though, like me and you are completely different in terms of like our way of thinking. Like I do feel like Sean is very black and white, which probably in this terms of this context is probably like a better way to be. And I feel like when I'm doing this, I'm like Sean was saying there, I just take a shot in the dark, and sometimes it works. A lot of
I
time it's
think it's
probably
worked for you maybe like 4 or 5 times.
yeah. Majority of the time it probably doesn't work, but I would love if there was like a tally someone had done to figure out who has got like the most. I'd say you're probably a good bit ahead now.
I, I know.
There was like 3 weeks though where you didn't get it. I remember.
Yeah, that was. I think like when we first started, I think I got the first one or two, and then like I went on a really bad run of like 3 or 4 weeks where I just couldn't get them. So you never know. No, it's all for shits and gigs, guys. Don't worry, we're not playing for forfeits or anything.
No, no, not yet.
Not
It was
yet.
funny.
No.
It's funny though because this is like every week when I do the four pictures out of context of the podcast, it's just like so random. Like sometimes they're like not like in comparison at all. Like last week, I think it was like we had the rat situation, and it was about the chickens. And like I'm just thinking this: if you're looking at this from like week to week and just looking at the photos, you're like, what the hell is going on here?
That's the point.
Yeah, that is literally the point. But yeah, it's funny. Yeah, so I don't no, yes, I have farted in the bedroom for your answer, Sean. That's
Yeah,
that's what
let's
he
say
was
I
asking
was
me
like,
before.
I've
Yeah.
put money on the fact that you've done that.
Now, I don't think Nicola was kneeing me in the ass too far, but
No, no, but
whatever
like,
floats your boat. I mean, either was Simone, but we'll have to get Simone to report on that situation.
yeah.
Um,
It was just like she gave me such a look of like, what the fuck are you on about? Like I was like, you were tapping me in the bum. I thought you wanted me because it was just because the context with like the fact that we were watching a video that was talking about fart jokes, and like sometimes we fart and we laugh, like, because
of course,
farts
who doesn't?
fart
Farts are funny.
they're the lowest common denominator of humor, but they are funny sometimes. Like sometimes a fart in the right place, right time is funny. Like.
Do you think in a relationship contents is pretty funny as well? Like it's like at the start when you're first going out, like you do everything to hold the fart in. Like you know what I mean? You don't want to like give yourself off in the wrong way. And then it's like the first 3 weeks of the relationship to now like how long are you guys together now? Three,
Five,
two
five
years,
years it'll be this
or
year.
5 years? Yeah, so there you go, 5 years. Can you imagine back to like your first year to 5 years now? It's like you're probably you're letting rip on the daily
Oh, Simone
basis.
makes eye contact with me whenever she lets them rip.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're out on Simone here.
Yeah, but yeah, I was fun. I didn't hold them in that much at the beginning. Like, once we got to the point where like she had met the family and stuff, I was like, right, okay, we're in deep now. Like.
But how long into the relationship did you have her meeting your family? Did you do it very quickly?
Um, I think it was like, I think it was about 4 months.
Okay, so you did it with, yeah. You probably did a bit
Um,
more before me.
yeah, but like I also like was living with my grandparents, and it was kind of like, you
But
know,
she kind of had to kind of thing.
yeah, but like like if we didn't have to, like, but I just knew I loved her at that point, and I wanted to, you know, just introduce my family to her. Like, it wasn't like a big kind of decision. You know,
I'm saying like more in a sense of like you know you act differently when you're going out with someone at the start because like you're trying to
yeah, you're the best version of yourself.
you're the best version of yourself. You're trying to impress them, show like how much of a nice chap you are and stuff, and then then they 4 months later and then they realize you're a serial killer and then the relationship ends from there.
Yeah, but it's part
No,
it's
no,
part of
no.
the process. You're peeling back the layers.
That's it. That's it. You start off good at the start, and then it's just like the emotional abuse and trauma that has been living in your life just slowly peels off the back.
Woohoo!
Woohoo is exactly a good
Woohoo!
response. Anyway, probably not nicely moving on to the context of our topic for this week, but I've asked on the Instagram page during the week, is there any topics that we would like people would like to hear us talk about? And one person responded back and asked they would love to hear about our bucket lists. So, Sean, do you participate in bucket lists? Is it something that you've ever thought about? Have you ever written one? Um, and is there anything that around the topic of bucket lists that you find interesting?
Um, I mean, like I've got one or two. I've never actively like written one down. Like, I think like everyone, there's like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. Like, like just kind of keeping tabs of them in my head and stuff. Especially like when it comes to like music and stuff. Like it's like I'd like to check that off at some
Yeah.
point. But I think we like done a whole topic before on like having goals and
Yeah, goal
aspirations and
setting's
stuff.
probably something I'd probably more do than the bucket list, but go on.
Yeah. I have like and most of mine are like mainly musical. Like I'd love to play. I've said from like the moments that I got into music, like the second I picked up a guitar, like what I wanted to do was like I wanted to support my favorite band and my favorite venue, which is, as a lot of people know, is the Coronas and the Olympia. They play
Yeah.
there every Christmas, so like a bucket list thing for me is to support them in that venue one year. Um, and like that's been a thing since I was like 17. Like I've wanted, that's something that I actively think about probably once a month. Like, I say, like, where am I in that process of, like, getting there? Like, am I at the level where, like, because obviously I go and watch the Coronas quite a lot. I also watch their support bands, and I'm like, am I
Yeah.
at the level of their other support bands where I can, justify my pitch to do that? So yeah, like that's like the one big thing, and like I'd like to go to, like, just for something non-musical, like I'd like to go over to the US at some point, not right now
Hmm.
because it's a bit of a shit show right now.
Yeah.
But like I've never left Europe, so it'd be cool to like go to the States. I'd love to go somewhere like LA or Florida or San Francisco or somewhere cool like that. I know I've heard very mixed things about San Francisco, but yeah, I'd like to go over to the States at some point, and I'd love to like do like a month in America where like I go and do like a couple of states and stuff. Now that's obviously very expensive, like, but it's something I'd like to do maybe in my 30s at some point if I build up the savings to, like, go and like see a few states and do a few maybe non-racist parts of the South, because they've got really good, like they've got great food there. I'd always said like if I went over, I'd have to lose a lot of weight because I'm gonna put on a lot of weight when I come back.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
on the
yeah.
right track
True,
for that
true.
now, anyway.
Yeah, that's it. Would you be like very quick on? We kind of spoke about before about like early on goals and then later goals. Obviously, from the music industry point, it kind of comes and goes depending on where you are in your situation with music making and like gigs. And like you were saying there, like your big aspiration for you is to be a sporting actor for the Coronas. Is there like a thing that you have in your mind where it's like, I would love to chase the idea of being able to live off substantially, playing music, or do you have things like, I would love to do another headline gig, or if you don't take it away, not from music, is there stuff like I would love to buy a house with my partner? Would I like, start a family? I know these things you've already expressed before that you're not too big on the idea of having making a family and by getting married. But is there stuff like that premise that you often think about on like a monthly or daily basis? Like I would say, like I'd be very more like short term, long term goals kind of guy.
Yeah, like I definitely like at some point would like to be just I'd like to be self-employed with music. And that doesn't absolutely have to be performing as well. Like I would just like to be, working for myself, being able to pick my own hours, being able to, work to my standards, and like, not have, people above me, or like going to other people for approval on things. Like, I'd like to just like kind of have that set up myself where I'm responsible for it myself, which is extremely hard, especially in the current kind of economy. Like, it's not easy to be like starting businesses and stuff. So,
Of course.
it's why like I've, for the most part, I've kind of like stayed in the corporate world. But like, and there's positives and negatives to it. I feel like I can't really like properly express myself in like the modern corporate environment, like, because everything is very, like, I joined a new job there a few weeks ago, and like every conversation started with, "What's the weather like where you are?" Like, and
Mm.
I mean, like that's grand when you're like first meeting people, like as you're trying to make a bit of small talk. But like every single conversation was about the weather, and it was really, it felt like I was talking to a computer a lot of the time, even though I was
Yeah.
talking to people, like, so I don't like that. I like to, showcase my personality. I like to, be, I feel like I'm quite serious when it comes to getting down to business, but I'm also like quite chill and laid back when it comes to like actual just like talking as a person, like.
I just want to know if anyone's watching this on YouTube after I've knocked my microphone over 3 times. I don't know if I'm just sitting way too close to my microphone, but it just keeps saying like like mid when you're talking, it's just me catching the microphone over and over again.
Getting the ninja reflexes sharpened.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. What are you? What's on your bucket list? Like, what are the things you want to do?
Yeah, I would feel like I was a person that never did bucket lists, and then like I was saying kind of before on the podcast that I kind of got into a bit more organized in terms of like diary writing, which I still do for planning out my days, and then like my future, like calendar plans, meeting up with friends, that kind of thing. But recently, actually, I think it was like 2 years ago, I actually did write a bucket list. Now, I haven't looked at it, and it was funny because we got the topic, and me and Nicola were actually talking about it last night. So, like, I wrote a bucket list of things I'd already done originally and said like like things like finishing college, learn how to drive a car, all these things like you want to do on your in your like during your lifetime. So this year I'd written 5 things that I wanted to do. So the first one I had was go visit Old Trafford, which I've never done, and I'm going to do it next month with Nicola. We're going to the United Liverpool game. It's like the second last game of the season, so I'm really excited for that. Then I also have go paragliding. I've run a marathon. Uh, what else do I have here? Sorry, there's just all mixed up together. Oh, I have here actually that I actually was thinking about doing recently was learn how to play an instrument. So I've got things that again like are short term, long term here, but they're just all mixed in together. Like I've stuff down the line that are stuff like getting married with Nicola, buying a house with Nicola, starting a family with Nicola. So like it varies. Like there's stuff like that I are like very. I would say it probably before was long term, but again, it's probably not too far away now. I would say, in the next 5 year plan.
Nicholas, spoiler
Like
alert.
yeah, no, but like you mean I'm getting there, So and then there's like other stuff as well that like I just want to do, like kind of on the terms of you, like traveling, like visit 7 continents, visit 100 countries. Well, I'm at 30 at the moment, so not too bad. So like there's stuff that I have on my list that I are a lot closer, and then there's stuff that are a lot further away. But for me, I think I would probably not be too massive on the idea, even though it's funny I have this on the idea of bucket list. I think short-term, long-term goals is probably a better way at like substantially getting towards something. And initially, like I said, this like for me, I don't necessarily have something that I feel purposely before. Like for me growing up, I played GAA, so that was kind of like my main focus growing up. Like that was the thing I was, every year you train for, and you're working towards like a common goal. Where like after I had kind of walked away from the team and stopped playing, like I didn't have anything. I don't want to use the words like motivation and purposeful to work for it, because like it's obviously different when I have a situation like this with like someone like Shaun, who's because he's working towards a goal of his to become an artist, but at the same time like again a lot of people like misinterpret this with art. It's like Shaun also just plays music because he loves to play music. It's not necessarily like that he's working towards and if it never happens, like he'll just be disappointed with his complete life. You know what I mean? Like there's different ways of looking at it. And I just feel like from my point of view, because I don't have necessarily this line of work at the moment or something like purposeful that I'm trying to work towards, um, I try to do stuff that I want to do on like during my lifetime. So like for example, I said there like traveling and stuff, stuff with my partner, and then there's little things that I just want to do. Like I want to go to a UFC event, like stuff like that, that I want to do across my lifetime. So I think it kind of varies depending on where I'm at, circumstances and things more in that perspective. I think there's actually a movie with Jack Nicholson about this. I can't remember the name of it.
One flew
I
over
think
the
it's
cuckoo's
Little.
nest.
Yeah, no, not that one. I'm actually gonna find the name of it
The Shining.
now. No, there's a movie he's like he has like terminal cancer and he wants to do everything in his life before he dies. I think he's in it. I can't remember his name. Oh, it's literally called The Bucket List with Morgan Freeman.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So there you go. But what do you think about bucket lists? Do you think they're a good idea? Do you think it's a good way for people to aspire to do something during their lifetime?
yeah, sure. I mean, like, I think similar to what you were saying. Like, I think like when you like have a list of goals, I think the difference with goals and bucket lists is like goals are kind of like stuff that you will have plans to do, whereas bucket lists are kind of like things you'd like to do, and like I feel they're more kind of like circumstantial and like they'll
Very
happen if
much
they
so.
happen. Whereas like
Yeah,
when you have goals, it's like when I'm working towards a goal. It's like I've got a plan in place to get there, whereas like bucket lists might be more of a like, oh, that'd be nice to do, sometime. Like it's not like and that's just kind of for me. I don't know. I went through like a bit of a period in my life where like everything got shaken up for better or for worse, like, and I think I learned from that you can never really predict what's coming next in life. So I
Yeah.
don't like to plan like 10 years in advance myself, like, just because, like, if you'd told me 6 months before me and Simone moved in together that we would have a house and have the life that we have, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah.
Life can, like, change so quickly, like, and some people might think that is a bit of like a pessimistic view on it, but I just mean that, and like I just mean that in the sense of, like, I want to kind of like just go with the flow and like enjoy the journey, and not just focus on the destination, like, because the journey's the most important part, like, it's just try and make every day or every step along the journey, like, the best
Matter.
possible, like, the best it can possibly be,
Kind
you
of
know.
going off what you're saying there, but what's like, or not really what you're going off, but what's kind of like your reflection on the idea of visual goal setting? So like you're, for example, like me and you had said it before, like we use a lot of journal writing to like plan out our days, plan out our futures, plan out our goals. Do you think this is like a good way of going about it, or do you think it's more about just finding what works for you? Like a lot of people in big high sport professional, like Ronaldo, for example, would be like someone who just very talks very highly about like self motivation, talking about how you speak to yourself is really important when you're chasing a goal. Or I would be kind of the person, like I think visual goal setting techniques would be like a lot of people use like whiteboards, or like we were saying there, you use like journal writing and stuff like that. Do you think that plays an important part when you're trying to chase something, or if you're trying to work towards a goal? Like if you said, I want to, you were saying there, like you want to play in front of the Olympia as a sporting actor, the Corona. It's like, would you be a person that'd be like, okay, I can get here if I just put the work in here, 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 and feel like I can work towards my goal? Or do you think it's just good to have something that you can see or feel that will help you work towards that in the long run?
Yeah, I think they're one and the same. I think if you want something enough, you'll work for it. Like, and that's just that. Like, I think like when you like, I remember when we done the last headline show. Like, it took over my whole life. Like, it was like the only thing I was like eat, sleep, and working around that. Like, it was like the main focus in my life because I had like taken out a loan to do it. So like I gave myself like that kind of pressure to make that show succeed.
Yeah,
Which thankfully all worked out. Like, for like with that. But like, I worked every single day to try and get tickets sold for that thing. Like, um, but then, like at the same time, like some people do less work and they sell more tickets. But that, like, like, a lot of it can be luck as well. Like, you can like, for in that example, like, you can pick a day that just doesn't work for people, and then you can pick a day that works for loads of people. Like, there was some people that I love dearly that couldn't make it to the show because it just didn't work for them. They were on holidays, or they couldn't get that day off work, or blah 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 blah. Like, like, and like I said, it's important to like enjoy the process as well. Like, I know I wouldn't change a thing about how I done the build up to that show and how I executed the show itself. So, and it's like, it also like makes it a tall order to redo again, because like you kind of mentioned it. It's like, oh, would I want to do another headline show? I do. I want to do many more. Like, I want to kind of do one every couple of years.
yeah,
But like, I also know that, and like I've said, you've said this before. Like, I can't half-ass it. I have
no,
to go in, and I'm like that with most things in life, and like that can be a good and a bad thing. Like, because I
yeah,
was only kind of chatting to Simone about these things last night. Like, I had a job before where I gave 100%. Like, it's like I was only working in fucking retail, like, but you'd swear I was getting paid like 50 grand a year, and I was getting like it was a part-time job while I was in college, but like I left no stone unturned in the place. And then when I left that job, I kind of felt like I didn't even get a card from anybody there, like, and I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit disappointing to like have put so much work into something, and to, like, work so hard for, a cause that kind of just didn't really affect my life or that well. Like, and come here, I've got great memories of working in that place for like nearly 4 years. Like, but yeah, it definitely like kind of affected me. And then when I went to my next job, I kind of said, like, I'm not doing that. I'm not working myself down to the bone. I'm not, like, going home exhausted, and like, not being able to, like, do other things with my friends because I'm so tired from work. Like, I'm not putting myself in that position again in my new job. Like, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And you know, there's different like levels to the intensity, and like, and then it's gas. Then when I left that job, I was in that job for 2 years, and I left that job and I got a card and chocolates and blah blah. When I kind of went into that job being like, yeah, I'm gonna do the bare minimum. Like, I'll do enough to make sure nobody else is um I'm not leaving other people short. Like, because I see people go into jobs like that sometimes, like they have a bad attitude of like, oh yeah, it's a minimum wage job, blah blah, I'm gonna do fuck all. It's like, well, no, look, I'm gonna do enough so that, like, the place isn't sinking, and the place, like, my co-workers don't suffer because I'm being
Mm.
an asshole. Like, I'm gonna do it to that level, but like I wouldn't go above and beyond like I did in the job
In
that I did
prior job.
before, you know.
Yeah. I think that also happens with a lot of jobs. Like, I mean, I've definitely fell into that bracket where you're kind of working so hard and it's like, what am I doing? Why am I putting myself in pressure? And like you were saying there, like you're too tired to meet up with friends and family and stuff like that just from jobs. I think
Yeah.
that's when we all kind of relate into the purposeful thing about that we all kind of fall in the bracket of that we're all numbers. Kind of, I know, like, I don't want to go off too much topic, but I think like a good example for someone, obviously that like it's obviously highlighted now in kind of like the music industry, would be like someone like, which I often see videos now, and Nicola just be showing me about, like Olivia Dean, for example, like someone who was signed in 2019 but didn't really, I would say, popularize too big in the music industry, like in terms of like mainstream, would probably be her. Because, for example, like I've seen a lot of videos of like when she played at like Glastonbury and like the smaller stages, and she worked a lot of the festivals where there was only maybe three or four people there at her gigs. And now, like, you look at her, she did very well. Like, won a parade, did very well at her album. I mean, she's everywhere at the moment. So I think, like, for people like that, I think that's when you were saying there, like, the importance of like the journey of when you're chasing a goal.
Mm.
It probably comes into play a lot more. And I think she probably notices that now. Obviously, we're being so successful in the music industry at the moment, and kind of things like. And I mean, for people, I mean, that's just a good example of someone like where time can like play a major effect, and you don't know who's watching and how big situations can come back from like being within the music industry. I know, of course, she's onto a label that does help when you're trying to broadcast your music and try getting to room with bigger people in situations like that, as the music industry is. But I think it's just a good person for people to aspire to if you are chasing a goal, that do realize that the journey is a big part of it. And like, even for example, like Gustavo Fring would be another one. Sorry, his name isn't Gustavo Fring, but that's how I know him as. Like, he didn't really pop off in his career until he got the role of Gustavo Fring in Breaking Bad as well. So that's kind of another kind of person that you can look at.
Yeah, and like it's probably important to note as well, like, no, every overnight success story you've ever seen took probably at least 5 years to build,
Yeah,
to
at
become an
least.
overnight success story. Like, none of them, like, like you said, like Olivia Dean has been working her ass off for years, and she's now, that all that work is now beginning to pay off. You know, and it was the same with Billie Eilish a few years ago. Like, when she kind of blew up, everyone was like, "Oh, it's out of nowhere." It's like, which, yeah, it's out of nowhere in like the pop culture zeitgeist in a way, but like, she's been working her ass off for 5 years, and her brother would have been the same. Like, even if it's not a case of like, they weren't like, posting every day on social media before that was really a necessary thing. Like, but they were honing their craft, they're honing their skill sets, they're getting better. Billy working on her vocals, working on her songwriting, Phineas working on producing, and all the background stuff that goes into the making of music. Like, so that when an opportunity presented itself, they were able to grab it by the horns and go at it fully.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a good thing for people to relate to that are chasing goals and things like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
The only
but
other
that's
thing I
nice. Thanks
have kind
for
of like
sending that in.
I have like the only other thing I have actually like on my bucket list is like the Coronas thing is like the main one. Like, if I could, I've always said if I can do that, if I can support the Coronas, I can walk out the stage door and get hit by a car, and I'd be happy with my life. Like, I'd be happy. Like, that's like the only thing I
You
ever like
you
aspire to.
you've achieved ultimateness. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd also like to play a gig in Whelan's as well, though. Like, I'd like a headline gig. I'd like to play like myself just
in
because it's
the,
such an iconic venue. And
yeah.
same with the Olympia, but I think Whelan's is like more of a realistic goal for me. But yeah, like I'd love to do like a headline gig in Whelan's at some point in the future.
Well, the future is bright.
See.
That's it.
Anyway, moving on to our pop culture current affairs section, and I think it's pretty obvious what we're going to be covering this week, folks. We're going to be talking about the Oscars. The Oscar winners were announced on Sunday, the 15th of March, and yeah, we're going to go through the winners in the major categories. We're not going to go on to the smaller categories that, let's be honest, that we don't really care about and you probably don't really care about as well. So anyway, kicking off with Best Picture, one battle after another won Best Picture. Of the nominees, so you had obviously one battle after another. You had Sinners, Frankenstein, Marquis Supreme, Sentimental Value, Hamlet, F1, Begonia, and The Secret Agent were the nominees. I didn't see one battle after another. I've been really bad for
I've seen it.
keeping up with movies the last few months. I was in the cinema every month of the year last year up until like October, and then I just haven't been since. Um,
Yeah. I've seen
I
7 out of 10. I think it was 10 you said there. I could be
yeah,
wrong. Yeah, so I seen 7 out of them, 7 out of 10. And I would say that it was, I have to say, I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was very different style of filmmaking to maybe the other movies that were in the category. So, uh, and also, stop me if I'm wrong, but that was Paul Anderson,
Paul
that
Thomas Anderson. Yeah,
Paul Thomas Anderson that directed. So I was happy for him and big fan of him. So I actually thought the movie did very well. I think as well, like I try to when like a film wins an award like that, I try not to compare it too much. I know it's very hard because you're in a category with like the movies like Sinners and Marty Supreme and Hamlet that were very successful as well. It's so hard not to compare. I try like when there's a winner, I try to just say why, like in my mind, like why did they win that award? Like was it deserving to win the award? And I think in my opinion, yeah, I have to say it's a good movie. I would highly recommend you to watch it.
yeah. It was one of the ones I wanted to get round to because I'd seen a lot of buzz around it, and the
Yeah,
trailers looked really interesting for it. And anything I've ever seen by Paul Thomas Anderson has been great. Like it's
yeah,
always minimum 8 out of 10 when it comes to PTA.
yeah.
When he's directing the film, he's directed that film that I love. That I don't know if you watched, but I mention it quite a lot. It's Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, it's a good movie.
I love that film. That's a film that like really like speaks to me. I don't know. I really relate to the main character in that film quite a lot. And I love. I really love that film. Anything I've ever seen by Paul Thomas Anderson, it's great.
I love Boogie
Um,
Nights. It's a really good one.
yes, I haven't watched that in years. Need to
Yeah,
rewatch that.
pretty good.
The only one I'd really seen from the Best Picture nominations was Sinners, but I also was kind of like, I thought Sinners was going to clean up. And to be fair, like it was basically Sinners and one battle after another that were cleaned up. I like now that
Yeah,
one battle after another has won, I probably will check it out because like even before it came out, like I with PTA and with DiCaprio and Sean Penn and like the
it's
cast
stacked
that they
cast to be
had,
honest.
like the
Yeah,
cast is unbelievable, and that's why I was actually quite surprised that it won because based off the trailers, it seemed very like action heavy and star power driven kind of blockbuster type of vibe. So when I saw it won, I was actually quite surprised. I was really expecting Sinners to take home Best Picture, if I'm being
yeah,
honest with you.
yeah.
And
What else do you have in the other
also
categories as well?
likewise with director, so PTA Paul Thomas Anderson won also for one battle after another.
Yeah,
This is where I would probably now, even though I haven't seen one battle after another, I just thought Ryan Coogler's Sinners was
yeah,
in fucking insane. Like the
yeah,
fact that it was done on film, just some of the shots in that movie, and obviously how they had to work it with. Like, and this probably says more about Michael B. Jordan than anything, but the fact that like he played both the roles and everything had to kind of be shot twice. I just thought there was a lot of skill and craftsmanship that goes into the shots. Now,
yeah.
likewise, I haven't seen one battle after another, and Paul Thomas Anderson has been overdue an Oscar for years now. Like he probably should have won one by now, so I don't know if that also played into effect as well. But I was like really hoping that Ryan Coogler was going to win for Sinners.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying there, I've seen both films, and I have to say, I probably agree with Sean on that one. I thought Ryan Coogler was amazing, did a great job. I've never seen a movie like Sinners, and I mean, like, I'm sure a lot of people else that are getting involved in the hype. It's very well worth the hype, I must say. So, from a person who loves film and like really enjoys watching the Oscars every year, I wanted to talk a bit more about. Obviously, we've done the pictures now, kind of moving into Best Actor and Best Actress, as Sean said there. Michael B one. So it's kind of interesting because I don't know if you were leading up to the situation. There was the comments that Timothy had said about the ballet. If you don't know about it, essentially Timothy kind of shunned the light and said about that there isn't really much of a following and interest in the ballet and that it's a dying art form. This was about 2 weeks before the awards came in for the Oscars. So I don't know if that necessarily played a part in the picking and or anything like that. But I do have to say, besides that, I've seen Marty Supreme as well. I do think Timothy did a great job. It's an okay movie. I wasn't too crazy about it. But I have to say, I did think it was well overdue for Michael B to win, and the fact that as Sean said there, he had to play two characters was just amazing. I don't know if you kind of what do you think about it? I don't know if you've seen Marty Supreme.
No, like I said, I haven't really seen a lot of what was nominated. Unfortunately, so like,
Yeah,
I feel like in years before, like I feel this is the first year in a while where like I didn't see a lot
yeah,
of the at least the best picture nominations or the big hitters, you know. But yeah, no, I was delighted with Michael B. Jordan. I think he was due an Oscar as well. I think he's put in a lot of really solid performances over the last few years, even in the blockbusters like Creed and Black Panther and stuff. Like he's always a standout in those movies. And yeah, like I
yeah,
said, like the way he had to play two characters in that film, and like a lot of it, like I mentioned, there goes down to like how well directed it was, and like how some of the shots are lined up as well. But yeah,
yeah.
he was the one I was actively rooting for. Like I really wanted Michael B. Jordan to win for Sinners. So yeah, and then of course moving into Best Actress, then this is where we get to show our national pride. Jessie Buckley won Best Lead Actress. I think, if I'm not mistaken, she's the first Irish woman to win for Best Lead Actress. I
Yeah,
think there has been a Best Supporting Actress win previously,
yeah,
but yeah, she's the first Irish woman to win Best Lead Actress at the Oscars for her performance in Hamlet, which I also did not see.
I've seen. I have to say she was brilliant. I wasn't too crazy with the Hamlet movie. I thought it was a good movie, kind of on the same level around Marty Supreme, where I can't diss it for not being a good movie. I just wasn't infatuated by it. But I thought her performance in the movie was incredible. She's a very, very good actress, and I really hope that she's kind of another person that I didn't realize has done so much in the film industry, and like has put a lot of years behind herself, and I think is now coming into light. But I have to say the performance was amazing. Nothing. I have to give her flowers. And again, like Sean said, it's a good day for the Irish, you know. And I like the way when she was walking off stage that she said "Cormelia Maha go slán go fáil." I thought that was nice, nice little
Yeah,
touch. So yeah,
yeah. Also, my favorite actress was actually nominated for this. I'm a big fan of Emma Stone, and
yeah, I'm so grand.
I haven't watched. What's the name of that film?
Begonia,
Begonia. I haven't
Begonia,
watched it yet because
great
I
movie.
didn't love the last film that Yorgos and Emma did together.
Yeah,
So I haven't watched Begonia yet, but I've heard. I think you watched it and you told me to give it a go.
yeah, yeah.
So I will watch it at some point. But yeah, I'm a big Emma Stone fan. Like I think she's probably the best actress in the world currently. I think she's got two Oscars and she's got like fucking six nominations or something so far.
She's a brilliant actress.
She's incredible. But I didn't like I said I've no horse in this race. So like I was delighted that Jessie won for the Irish.
I
You know.
do think with Emma Stone, she found like a really good spot at the moment of finding these like I don't want to call them similar style movie makings, but she's found this kind of like pot of like Poor Things, Begonia, and I think the film we're thinking of is Kinds of Kindness.
Yes, that's
That
it. I
like
didn't like
th
Kinds of Kindness at all.
yeah, like them three movies, they're a very particular type of filmmaking. And I don't even know what to call them because they're none of them are literally the same, but they're just movies that make you think about things from a different perspective. That's the one thing I would try to describe it as. But yeah, big fan of Emma Stone, highly recommend. Is there anything else that you kind of noticed about the Oscars that you found was that you thought was funny? I also wanted to notice as well because I did say the thing about Timothy Chalamet that the Sinners cast Michael Canton, I think his name, did a performance at it, and he brought out at the end of it a retired ballet performer, which I thought was interesting. It was a nice little backlash against Timothy, so I thought that was pretty funny.
Hadn't seen that myself.
Yeah, yeah. So do check that out, Pete. Do check that out, folks.
And then
Yeah,
moving on to supporting actor, you've got Sean Penn who won for One Battle After Another. Again, I'll let you
great
comment
actor.
on that.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for Sean to watch the movie because his character is quite interesting. It's something I'd never see Sean Penn as. I mean, you've probably seen the memes, kind of on TikTok surfacing around about Sean Penn in this movie because he plays a bit of a wild character. But I have to say, Sean Penn. I mean, there's not much I have to say about him. He's just a legendary actor. He's done Mystic River, like Into the Wild, Carlito's Way. Like he's done hundreds and hundreds. He's been in the music
I'm
industry for
pretty sure
years.
he's now tied for the most Oscars for an actor. He's tied with the likes of Daniel Day Lewis now
Yeah.
because that's his third one. Because he had he's obviously won it for One Battle After Another. He won it for Milk in 2008. And what
Oh,
was
Milk. What a movie.
I
Forgot
haven't
about
seen
that
that.
movie.
And what was
That's
what
a
was
great movie.
one of the ones you mentioned in your list there?
Mystic River.
Yeah, Mystic River. So
Yeah, which is brilliant as
that's
well.
his third Oscar. So
He's
yeah,
kind of a guy that's been in the industry for so long, but like he's paved the way. He's like he has a place in Hollywood, if that makes sense.
mm,
He's got like if you see Sean Penn, like you just know you're getting like an 8 out of 10 performance. So
yeah,
that's I'm always big fans of people like that in the music
sure.
industry, or sorry, the movie industry.
Again for best supporting actress Amy Madigan, which was was quite significant because it was for Weapons, which was a horror movie. And it's not,
Which is
horror
also
movies
very
are
good.
yeah. Again, well, I've got a couple of friends who really liked Weapons.
Yeah, I thought
Um,
great things about it on the podcast. Actually, I think I did. But yeah,
yeah, I think it's great to see like horror get a bit more recognition because I feel like and like
Uh,
from what I've seen online as well, like it kind of gets dismissed quite a lot.
yeah, I'm actually a big horror fan. Like secretly, it's one of them. Like kind of there's a genre or like a style of filmmaking that you didn't think you'd be mad into growing up, and then you kind of develop into it. I think over like the last 4 years, maybe because Nicola's such a big fan and she's seen a lot of horror movies and she's kind of introduced me to it. So I've started to become like a really big fan of it. There's a one that came out last year with I think it's called Legs, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah,
Yeah, and I thought that was brilliant as well. Another movie like that, just such a different style of making. With Nicolas Cage, who I also, oh, Long Legs, sorry, apologies, that's the name. Long Legs, check that out. It's just a different style of horror. It doesn't necessarily have to be the slapstick, scream and a mask, that kind of style. So
yeah.
I do think there is a world for horror, and I do think I am happy to see it kind of come a bit more into the mainstream
Yeah,
that kind
I
of way.
I really I like horror films that are more thrillers. Like I love Get Out.
Yeah,
I like Saw.
yeah.
Like I love those type of horror movies that like
Psychological
it's
thrillers, yeah.
yeah. Like I don't like because like I think a lot of people are like, oh, you don't like horror movies, you don't like jump scares. It's not that I don't like jump scares because I think they're a cheap scare gimmick. Like I would rather watch
Yeah,
a film and actually be terrified because the plot is scary.
it's scary.
Is like
Yeah,
like I much prefer like another one I love is A Quiet Place. I think A Quiet Place is a brilliant film. Like
brilliant.
I love that type of horror film. You
Yeah.
know, whereas like the likes of like Insidious and like like the Scream. Well,
Conjuring, maybe you might
I
be
wouldn't
another
even
one
call
of
it
that.
Scream is more of like a fucking comedy slasher film. I would
Yeah,
say. You know.
slapstick slasher movies would not be my like. You have to really be in the mood. Like, I feel like if you're going to watch Scream, like you kind of understand it for what it is. Like you understand, like they've made 7 Screams now. Like
Yeah.
like they can just keep making it and making profit because it's such a huge industry in the horror that people love. But at the same time, I'm kind of like with you. It's like I would rather watch like a psychological thriller where like I'm left a bit like, whoa, that was
Mm.
crazy. Like a scary plot line is always drags me more into. But again, each to their own. Whatever you find.
It leaves an impact on you, whereas like the jump scares,
Yeah,
just like you're scared for 10 seconds and
yeah.
then that's that. Like
I would just say to people, don't shy away from horror. Try find like we were saying there, like the things that can kind of be like, oh, that was a scary plot line. So yeah, check that out.
And then we'll wrap up on the Oscars talk now in a sec.
Yeah,
We got Best Original Screenplay, Ryan Coogler for Sinners. Again, very happy with that myself.
deserved. Yeah,
Deserved. Like Sinners is one of the most unique movies I've ever seen. It's one I'm looking forward to rewatching in the next couple of weeks because we're getting as we mentioned last week we're getting HBO Max here, and it's going to be
Yeah.
on that. So we've said, me and Simone said we'll probably watch it again because we've all loved that movie. And then best adapted screenplay, you're never going to guess what it is, lads. It's One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah. So
And then best animated feature, you got K-pop Demon Hunters. Don't Tell the Mothers in Belfast because they
yeah.
will be
I was waiting
fuming.
for you to say that. That's so funny. Oh
So
God.
yeah, I mean, like there's lots of other, like I said, look, there's smaller categories, there's smaller
Yeah,
wins.
of
Which
course.
congratulations to everybody there. We're done. This is our max. We're on a time limit here, and that's all we kind of really care about. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
as we'll move on to the You're the Listener's Dilemma. So we actually haven't received any this week, and this is where we're calling to you now, folks. We do say it every week on the podcast. I will probably advertise it a bit more this week as we can get
we've
your
had a good
listeners
run
to.
of about 20 weeks though. So to be fair, it's the
Yeah,
first
I
time
mean,
we've
to
come
be
up
fair,
dry.
it's our first time. It's our first time. So, as Sean said there, we do have a Your Distance Dilemma section, and we do have an anonymous link form that you can click on in our Instagram bio. Again, I'll put up posted this week on the Instagram page. Again, if you don't want to do that, and if you don't feel comfortable, and you would feel comfortable sending us an email, you can do it to the at the Distance Dilemma pod at gmail.com. Again, that won't obviously be anonymously, but we won't relieve the name due to confidentiality reasons. But besides that, this week I thought it'd be interesting to look up online what is the most searched dilemma that most people have on an average basis. So I did end up going to Reddit, my favorite place in the world, by the way. So please, if you've never been on Reddit, please join it, join the community. It's like a cult. And I picked one that I thought was interesting that might be cool for us to talk about. So it's kind of on the topic of money versus happiness, and I'm going to read it out here, and me and Sean are going to dissect it. So, is it better to earn more, in brackets, even if I'm stressed, or earn less and have a better quality of life? Do you want to go first on this?
Yeah, sure. I think it depends on like the level of wealth here. Like, are we talking like, oh, you're making like 50 grand a year, and that's like the lower level of like, or are we talking like, like are you talking like 50 grand? You've got a family, kids, you've got like the perfect kind of suburban life, and then like the money is like 200 grand a year. You can go on luxury holidays, blah 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 blah. Is that the difference we're talking about, or is it like 25 grand a year compared to like 40 grand a year? Like I think they're like big parts to play. I'm gonna assume, just based off the context of the question, it's more the first one where like someone's making like 50 grand a year, and like I think that's a fairly like average salary for somebody like in their 30s 40s, something like that, like by the time they've kind of like got a bit more experience in their career. For me, I like, and then like, again, having that against like somebody who's making like let's say like 150 grand to 200 grand a year or something like that. For me, happiness has to come first. Like like I've had good, well-paying jobs, but they've made me absolutely miserable. And then I've had jobs that have paid me an awful lot less, but I was like a pig in shit, and I was happy out because I loved my coworkers or I loved the job itself. So for me, it's not really something I would debate too much. I would rather be happy with less money than miserable with loads of money.
Yeah, I mean, I would say responsibilities probably play a major effect. Again, we don't really know the context of it. I would definitely be on the same like idea thinking as you of I would rather have less money and have a better quality of life because I do often see and like yourself you're saying like growing up we've kind of both worked in similar industries in terms of gastro and the retail environment and I see people that work there for almost 20 to 30 years and they're miserable but then also I see the other perspective where like I see them and they love their job so I do feel like necessarily that doesn't often come as easier as said. Like it isn't necessary that you can take the better job and like be more stressing and or also like what determines what is the better job. Like it is the better job to have a stress-free life or is it the better job to have a more well-paid job? So it kind of looks at how you deem money and how you deem like how you feel success is. Like I would be more in the person like if I have a job that pays less but I prefer it more and I love it more, I would rather work that job than work a job that I'm stressed out 24/7, but I get a lot of money. It kind of varies of what you're living your life around. Are you living your life around money? Are you living your life around success? Are you living your life about a quality of life, as this person says here? So I think it kind of varies depending on your situation. Again, like responsibilities obviously play a major factor as well. Like we were saying there, have you got kids? Do you want to send them to college? Do you want to have medical insurance? Things like that. So I think it's a tough one because I feel like it's very dependent on your responsibilities and your situations. But then also, like, again, we don't know on the larger effect if you've got a stressful job, how much that's affecting you mentally and physically. That then again can ruin your life, and then you can't support your family or yourself or your partner. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that come into play when stuff like this comes up.
Yeah, because I also find like the higher paying, like, from what I've seen in the working world, like, like the highest paying jobs are also the ones that are the most stressful. Like when you
Yeah,
think of like fucking like scientists or doctors or like even people who like run their own companies that like are huge companies, but when you get to like a certain scale level, like it becomes like really really stressful to be that. And I feel like once you're at like that type of level, like your job can take over your whole life in some forms. Well, I've seen it just with other people, or like they have no life outside of their job, which is like that's like the last thing I
yeah,
want. Like I've seen people who like are like I've worked for somebody who like extremely successful and like not not to like knock them, but like they all they done was work, which is
yeah.
if you want to do fair enough, but like for me there's more to life than that. You
Work.
you work to live, not live to work.
Yeah, I think it depends really on the person. I think a lot of people, if they feel gratitude and they feel like that's what motivates them is their job, then I feel like I'm all for that. But then I also feel like on the other side of the fact is like you were saying there, you don't work to live, you live. Sorry, the other way around. The factor of like trying not to make it your whole life is kind of a big effect on how they live on a day-to-day basis. But again, I think it depends on the person and like what they have going for them and like is that what they feel grateful for? Is that what makes them happy? So yeah, it is a very thin line, but I think overall on the question, I would probably be rather be less stressed and have a job that's maybe a bit easier and like makes my life a bit less stressed.
But then just to flip what I said at the
Yeah,
start, like
what's
then
it
you've
there?
also got people who are like on like is this like also like a case of like, right, would you rather be on the poverty line or like be making that like 50,000 that or 45 50,000 that I mentioned earlier, and
Yeah,
then that all of a sudden becomes a big flip because as you move up in your salary ladder, it is, and it's unfortunately it is true, it's easier to make money and it's easier to do things like you the more money you have, the more time you can afford to get back as well, because you can afford to pay for things that like you don't need to waste time on. Even like it can even just be like things like your food shop, like being able to buy certain things in your food shop, or like having certain tools at home to cook with, like having air fryers, which I think it's very easy for us to be like, oh yeah, whack something in the air fryer, blah blah, but like there's people that can't afford to buy an air fryer, they don't have that money to spare, like which is and that's just a very black and white example, like because I know most people have air fryers in their houses, but like some people don't. You know, what's that? Why is that
so
funny?
it's just funny, like because like air fryers didn't exist for 2 to 3 years, and there's people that were able to do that without the air fryer. I'm sorry. It's like air fryers didn't exist for like 4 years before. I have to go
Yeah,
disagree
no,
with
but
you.
no, but like I'm just giving an
I
example,
get
like
the premise. I get the premise of what you're talking about. Though. Yeah,
but
sorry.
and even, like like one thing, I'll give you a really good example of like when we first moved in here. Like when we first moved into this house, we got a fridge, and it was tiny. Like this thing was like half my height, right? And it actually affected our weekly shop because we couldn't buy stuff in bulk, so we couldn't freeze things, we couldn't throw loads of stuff in the fridge, so we would be buying stuff with long expiration dates, which is more expensive. Whereas now, because we have we got a bigger fridge eventually a few months later, but our food shop bill went down because we were able to afford something that was more expensive. That you know it was able to reallocate our money and our way of shopping and our way of thinking. Like
Yeah,
like this is like it's just like one example
yeah.
of
No,
that.
I get what you're saying there. Yeah,
So like if you're somebody who is on like a minimum wage salary of some sorts, like that it becomes a different conversation then, like, so like, and it's very easy for us to be like, oh yeah, choose happiness and like don't choose money, but then there's people who like, you know, I'm just thinking of like single moms that might have like
Yeah,
two
yeah, yeah, yeah.
kids who have to work and like, can't afford to even like just get that head up,
Extra little,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
I'm just thinking about that. Like, I think it's easier for us to sit here and say because we don't have kids,
yeah.
we
True,
don't
true,
like,
true.
have these like responsibilities in our lives. Like, we're
Yeah.
very lucky that we're in the positions that we're in.
That's why I say where context and responsibilities play a major effect on this kind of topic. But overall, I think I would, if I had a choice, and depending on my situation, I would rather choose the to make less and have a better quality of life. But I think again, each their own and depends on the situation. But yeah, interesting. Again, I'm asking you to send in your distance dilemmas. I will post about it on the Instagram page over the coming week. And yeah, that's all we have time for, folks.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, just to reiterate that point again, if you do want to send in your dilemmas on the form, they're totally anonymous. So, like I said, if you want to bitch about your boss, if one of your friends is wrecking your head, if someone left the toilet seat up, and you want to get it off your chest, or you want some advice, or you want to, they're anonymous as well. So if you want to bitch about me and Imran, if you want to say Shaun, I don't like your hair, if you want to say Imran, I think you should shave your beard, if you want to say anything like that, if you want to slag us off, it's all anonymous. You can say what you want. So yeah, it's the Your Distance Dilemmas forms in our Instagram bio, and like Imran said, you can Imran will post it during the week as well. But that's all we have time for this week, folks. So thank you very much for listening to episode number 57 of the Distance Dilemma podcast. My name is Shaun. I'm in Dublin, Ireland. This has been Imran. He is in Thun, Switzerland, and this is our long distance friendship podcast. We'll be back again next week, as we are every week, Monday 6 a.m. Irish time, 7 a.m. Central European time. Until then, folks, thank you very much for listening, and we will chat to you then.